Hello, and welcome to an episode that I've promised for some time in relation to Starlink. This is the summoning one to summon FedEx because I get my Starlink today. Say with me, everybody. Alakazoo. Alakazam. FedEx, you will appear. FedEx up here. FedEx up here. FedEx up here. Alakazoo, alakazam, alakazi, alakazum. And up here. I'm having a good laugh right now. So, as I thought it'd be like a plug and play type situation, it's not. Because a lovely white Ethernet cord that I put in here, they've made an enclosure on it so you can't snap it out without voiding warranty of some kind. I mean, if you could, you would. But I am not about to mess around with something as expensive as that. So I'm just going to put this new cable in. And then, voila, all done. It's not as easy as simple as it would seem. So, yep. Adiosa. I move forward and on, and I will get together information in regards to the experience of over a year, believe it or not, roughly close to February 8th is the day I had got my Starlink kit. Now, the installation was, for me, fairly straightforward. I moved it 4 times to get it in the right exact location. Once was replacing a mounted pole for Star Choice, aka Shaw. I removed that pole, I removed the dish, we've discontinued the service, and then I moved it to another mount that was provided by ExploreNet from a previous time. They never claimed the mount, and that's fine. I love to keep it. And then I added a pole extension from when I had the massive tower. The takedown for that one was a lot of fun, and believe me, no damage was caused, other than the bottom section of the tower. That was a fun experience. And then a 4th time I moved it, which was on the peak of the roof, with a modified satellite mount that I had relocated to another portion of that roof. I screwed it down and basically put sealant on there, blah 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 blah. It's perfect. Now the speeds compared to when I had ExploreNet was quite a jump. And the latency, again, quite a jump. Now, in terms of going from one service to the other, reliability is a lot more consistent, and stability is a lot more consistent again. However, the only drawback to Starlink is the obstructions. And in an area, I will showcase that so you physically see the kind of location it's at currently. That's the entry point. I have to do a bit of a better dry leaf, but it held up over the years. So it goes up here, and then it goes from this point to that point. I'm gonna say at least twice, and then it gets wrapped around here. And Delicia's going, "Why are you outside, Dad?" Doing a project out of Lacey. Alright, so gets bundled up here and then goes up. It's there. And then it goes alongside underneath all that snow. Right up to that point right there. Now, how many people figure out how my network is basic. Got the Starlink with the output to the router, the input from the satellite dish So it goes to this router, and then the yellow one goes to this mesh network, which is a TP-Link. And then in turn it goes from the mesh network to this switch. And the switch feeds two connections. One to the TV and another to my Plex server. And yeah, into this fancy dancy tower. And that's my internal networking. So here's 1 and 2 and 3. So truth be told, at this time of this clip, it is 2022 in January, so how everything has changed is drastic. I suggest getting a Wi-Fi mesh. Now, you can go to a Wi-Fi 6, and there are varied models. The only reason why I went from conventional Wi-Fi to a Wi-Fi 6 is the frequency band is a lot more in-depth and greater than what was traditionally. And as technology develops further, it will give you a heck of a lot better consistency and connection than what was traditionally. Now, I am going to say that in an area where I live in a valley. So basically, this is ground level in some spots, and this is me, the big ol' U. And I'm like probably somewhere in the cusp around here. So basically I have to go from a big old U, and I have to get a signal that goes straight up. But the problem is that there's a valley, and in the valley you got a tower that can only go so high, and a pole that's probably about maybe 15 feet, and it goes in the other direction. Now, when I had ExplorerNet, it had 6 antennas on the front, from what I could understand in the ODU manual. So it's the ODU LTE abridged version of a 4G and 5G hybrid. There are models that do have a WiMAX system. So ones go from 4G to LTE 5G, and the service is okay, but the problem with that kind of service and that delivery is the speeds are very limited. They say it's tower capacity. I call BS on that, because essentially how it works is there's sometimes a fiber line that goes to it directly to feed that satellite. Sometimes it's a satellite connection that goes from one location to another location, and then it broadcasts the microwave frequency to give everybody access to that broadband specifically. And at times it was fine, but I had to end up going into the settings and then do a panel lock specifically so that I would get a consistent connection, and that itself was a pain in the butt. Not only that was a pain in the butt, I had to get technicians, and I was like, okay, great, I'm going to get warranty with ExplorerNet. But the problem with that is what they don't tell you when you go to deal with the dealer who climbs your 60-foot tower to bring a 15-foot pole down to change direction, contact their tech support. You're paying the dealer X amount of money for them to go up to do whatever. And that was the frustrating part, because that's where they get you. Not only on top of that, but beforehand, you would have a allowance of how much gigabytes you could download. So I think I had up to 400 gigabytes that I could get, and then after that I would get charged a surplus. And then they turned around and changed their business model. They went to a unlimited, which really wasn't unlimited. It went from a specific amount, and after you hit your peak, you would go past that, and they would throttle your service down, which was robbery. It still is robbery, because there are individuals who still suffer from this business practice. And they blame it on too many people being on the tower, too many people being on at the same time, blah, 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 blah. my background is telecommunications, and I can tell you it's utter BS. It's just basically refurbished equipment the end user gets, and it's a lie on a promise from marketing, essentially saying, we are selling you what this product is, and we will deliver on what this product is that you may get up to. Now, what they don't tell you is the hoops you have to go through to get to that point. And there are sections upon sections of tower that I had to get. They said no. I turned around, I fought them. And there was another section that I got. And probably went through about 2.5 years of how many technicians, how many expenses out of my pocket just to get to that point. And I did get maybe at most 30 if I was lucky on a good day. But for how technology is growing and how many people were in the household, it was crazy. Absolutely crazy. To the point where how much jumping around and going through hoops you had to go just to get to that amount of service. And believe me, a normal person would just go, you know what, screw it. I'm done. I'm done with this. I want to go to the next guy. Well, the problem is the ExplorerNet system. It is what it is, and that's probably the best you could get. Next to that was point to point, and point to point is expensive person's dial-up phone service, basically. So it went from ExplorerNet to point, and I'm going to put this very kindly. So if you had a Rocket Hub, so a Rocket Hub, basically it's a device that you plug in, and it picks off a cellular network to dial up. And no matter what tier you went to, so ExplorerNet, whatever, satellite, ExplorerNet, expensive enough as it is, to point, which is more expensive than that. And it's insane what they cost. Not that, just the installation fee, the setup fee, the operating costs for that is like astronomically crazy if you wanted internet service. And the problem with point to point is you have to have a direct line of sight to the tower that it's broadcasting from. And then you have your Rocket Hub, and you have a hope of a prayer of getting a signal booster kit for that service just to go past the trees, go past the valley, because how signal works is you have to have a good area of where it's broadcasting from to get and utilize proper cellular service. And that's how the Rocket Hub service works for the internet portion of that. And that alone, the bandwidth is super expensive. You think ExplorerNet or Bell or whoever provides internet service in that regard is expensive. Rocket Hub service for cellular providers are insane. And you go past that, you don't have unlimited, you might as well say you're paying $300 easy a month. And then there's dial-up, which no one wants, because you can't do dial-up these days. It's not really feasible for a proper connection. Now, I had set up the ExplorerNet service 2T. Now, the speeds I'm going to go through are very straightforward and pretty self-explanatory. Now, before I went to the one service to the other service, I essentially, went something that was slow to fast. And you will see that it went from a super slow connection to a fast connection. So now, ExplorerNet said they could go up to 50 megabytes with unlimited data. And as I was saying, unlimited data is something that's specifically false claim on a sale pitch, basically. Because the upload was 2 megabytes a second. No, sorry, 2 megabits a second if you're lucky. And the max download is maybe 30 if you're lucky megabits per second. Now, I went from that to upload of maybe on average 10 megabits per second to minimum of 38 megabits per second to probably an average of 150 megabits to a second for download and 20 to 25 megabits a second for upload. Now, it's different. So like I said, the 4 locations that I put the dish on, uh, it makes a difference for that. I do hope that is going to give you positive review. And as always, Spanky out.